A man sits in the dirt, eagerly tearing off pieces of an ancient, weathered parchment scroll and eating them. He then starts playing war with a miniature clay city and shaves his own head with a military sword. This is Ezekiel. He was a priest dragged away from his home as an exile who turned to extreme, symbolic performance art to deliver his messages. Traditional words and spoken sermons had completely failed to reach his audience. To get their attention, he was forced to become a prophet of aggressive visual aids. These bizarre displays were a highly calculated communication strategy designed specifically to shatter the cognitive dissonance of a doomed society. The year is 592 BC. We are looking at an exile settlement called Tel Aviv, located along the river Chebar in the distant empire of Babylon. Ezekiel is speaking to the people living here, a hardened, rebellious remnant of Jewish captives who flatly refuse to listen to his warnings. Despite living in the shadow of Babylon's glazed brick walls, these exiles hold a stubborn delusion. They firmly believe their capital city, Jerusalem, is invincible and will never fall to their captors. The historical reality of their homeland, the Kingdom of the South, is one of long decay, suffered a grueling civil war, a succession of corrupt kings, and deep-rooted idolatry. Ezekiel realized his extreme visual methods were the only tool left to warn an arrogant audience utterly blind to their own impending destruction. To predict the fall of Jerusalem, Ezekiel built a miniature clay model of the city. He then staged a mock siege against it to physically represent the impending famine and war. He followed this with a more violent visual aid. Ezekiel took a sharp military sword, using it to divide his own hair and shave his beard. This is a minimalist infographic showing exactly what Ezekiel did with that hair. He used it as a data-driven illustration, dividing the hair into 3 distinct mathematical fractions. 1/3 represented the people who would die of famine, another third the victims of the sword, and the final third those scattered into further exile. By breaking down the population into these precise fractions, he removed all ambiguity. He proved the coming judgment was a meticulously calculated, inescapable event. Then came the most agonizing personal sign. When Ezekiel's wife died suddenly, God strictly forbade him from weeping or mourning her loss. His silent, unexpressed grief served as a chilling mirror for the exiles. They were about to lose their beloved temple and city so swiftly that they wouldn't even have the time to weep. Ezekiel's demonstration soon moved from physical acts to apocalyptic visions. He saw the glory of God physically lift up and depart from the temple in Jerusalem. The theological weight of this departure is severe. It signifies ultimate divine abandonment as a direct consequence of the people's rampant idolatry. In 586 BC, this theological abandonment became historical reality. Under King Zedekiah, the Kingdom of the South was utterly destroyed by Babylon. The terrifying warnings were accurate. The nation collapsed exactly as Ezekiel's miniature models had predicted. Once the city officially falls, the structure of Ezekiel's message pivots. He shifts instantly from a prophet of doom to an architect of comfort and hope. He introduces his most famous visual metaphor, a sweeping vision of a desolate valley floor completely covered in bleached, scattered human bones. He describes a terrifying but miraculous sequence. The dry bones violently snap together, grow fresh flesh, and rise from the dust, filling their lungs with new breath. The bones are a metaphor for the captive Israelites. It illustrates that even an utterly dead, disintegrated nation can be resurrected, provided there is a complete inward renewal of the spirit. Ezekiel outlines a specific 3-part promise for the future. The divided nation will reunite, the ruined city will be restored, and a massive new temple will be built. His final vision focuses on this geographical space, detailing the glory of God returning to a newly constructed temple, officially ending the era of abandonment. For the surviving people, Ezekiel introduced a critical moral shift. He established the concept of individual responsibility, meaning each person is held accountable for their own sins, rather than blaming the actions of the previous generation. Ezekiel used visual shock tactics to tear down an arrogant society. Once that delusion was shattered, he handed them the exact blueprints to rebuild their moral and spiritual future from the ashes.